So, hello everybody, and I'm going to be giving some live commentary of matches in the Lichess4545 League. Every team and that has 8 members, and each member faces off against the opposing team member in a 45 plus 45 classical game on Lichess. And we are now in round 7. And we're on Sundays. It's the last day this week when players can play their games. And a lot of games are happening right now. If we just open up the TV, we can see a whole host of games happening right now. But just to get our bearings, let's just first check the standings to see which matches are especially going to count. But every game counts. So Idiots Till Proven Otherwise, led by Lovelace, are actually leading the league with 11 match points, and their game point tiebreaker is 29.5. Smother of Dragons and Victorious, V2 Torius, referring to the V2 of Lichess, are on 10 points, while Imagine Hyper Accelerated Dragons, Nuff with the V2 Tarish Talk, and Check Please are on 9 points, and Lichess Lovers Rewind on 8, and so on. Now, if we just check the matches happening now, Lovelace, of course, won his game, and I think he's on a perfect record. And that match is going to, between Smother of Dragons and Idiots Till Proven Otherwise, is all going to come down to the game on board 8 between Relative Impact and High on Pottenuse. So I'm going to just open that. And that game is still in its early stages, and we're just going to come to that later. Meanwhile, the match between Hyper Accelerated Dragons and Nuff with the V2 Tarash Talk, Haters Can Legs It, that match is completed, and I'm actually on the latter team, and we won this week convincingly, 6.5, 1.5. None of our team members lost our games. We all won, and we got 3 draws, so that was a very successful outcome. And now the other team we saw on 10 points, just 1 point behind Lovelace's team, was Victorious. And they've got one match going to be starting in about 15 minutes or so. But the other match they have, which has already started, is between Gokuba and Roli Lala. So obviously, so let's see, let's just open that one up. So Roli Lala is white against Gokuba, and that's still in its early stages as well. And we'll add in the David Inns against Cosx DX when it starts. And of course, I'd like to say I hope no player is tuning into this stream, and if anyone is watching the stream, you can check the viewers and make sure of that. But now, a game that's already in its late stages is this one between Lichess Lovers Rewind and Check Please, where Grishy Bojbor and Arsava both need to win. And the Grishy Bojbor match started a while ago. It started, in fact, almost 2 hours ago, and Grishy Bojbor was very low on time. So that's very interesting. And the other match, what was the other match in that one? It was Arsava against Luca Gallia. So Arsava, that started more recently, so both these guys would have to win to tie up that match. So who else? That's all the people playing. There's also Fudley, who has been an alt on our team, is playing against Grando, and just to see where is that match. So which one is it deciding? Oh yes, so this is in the match between the Knight King and Jiri's Better Half Point. So Fudley is playing for Erin's team, and Colwem as well on that team, whom we all know. And if Fudley wins that match, in fact, Erin's team will likely win that round. In fact, I'm imagining this one is a scheduling draw, just assumption for now. So assume it's 4-3. So maybe even a draw for Fudley might see them through. So that's that one. And there was one other game I noticed, which is between Rebel Me and Oroach. And that's also looking like it's in its late stages, with Oroach with 2 pass pawns against the 1 pass pawn. So perhaps a slight favour for Oroach. and where would that be? So I'm going to just go. Oh, so that's between endgame spoilers and team that is planning to try hard. Okay, so if Oroark wins that, as I think he'll do, or at least get a draw, that means endgame spoilers will win. And just looking at the standings, endgame spoilers are not doing so well in the league as a whole, so they're looking like getting their first win of the season if Oroark, so I'll just flip the board here, can convert this one. Okay, so that's just setting the scene. Now, the game which is looked quite tense was this one with Grigi Bojbor against Jesse F. And this has been going for 2 hours. So I'll just play through it. It's an English opening. Not going to do any deep analysis, just try and get a feel for the game. And this is a reminder, this is against Lichess Lovers Rewind, if I remember correctly. So Grigi Bojbor and his teammate both need to win for their team to draw. So the pressure is to win, draw is not enough. So he's going for an exchange of the dark squared bishops. Okay, that makes sense. Because his bishop doesn't really have a good home. Whereas the black's dark squared bishop, that's very nice, is a protector of his king. Yeah, so the white bishop doesn't really have a good home. And you see how black is... feels like black is gradually pushing forwards. Now that's a sort of... oof. So yeah, let's just think a second. Why couldn't the rook just move to here, or even here? I mean, here I'm worried about the long diagonal. Those two, this knight was potentially coming in. But Grigi Bojbor wouldn't want to draw anyway, so... where would it be followed? Yeah, so I'm not quite sure why black's giving up the exchange here, rather than just moving the rook. Am I missing something terrible? So even if the rook went here, there's no piece that can dislodge this knight so easily, because if you just hit it, takes, pawn takes, would block up your bishop file, and bishop takes is not dislodging that knight. So an interesting move, knight a7, but I'm not quite sure why Jessid gave up the exchange for that rather pathetic looking knight. So I'm rather confused. But okay, so this happened. So you have to remember, white is up in exchange, so has got good chances. And this is where we are now. Oh, so he didn't choose to exchange off bishops. Interesting. He's hoping to get rid of his weakness on d3. Okay. But he doesn't want to lose his bishop for a knight. Okay, interesting. We're learning more about what his likes and dislikes. And we're up to the current position. It's still quite a tense encounter. I mean, black is an exchange down, but holding for now. And Grigi Bojbor is down a lot of time and, in a sense, taking his time. Can't sort of rush anything. So there's a lot of pressure on this pawn for black. I mean, white's putting a lot of pressure on this. This is a weakness. 1, 2, 3 defenders, 1, 2, 3 attackers. This could always swing here, but then this always swings here. Okay. One thing I'm a little worried about is the rook facing off against the queen. So I favour Grigi Bojbor in this position. Especially it's his move. I can't see why he can't just double up the rooks and even do this. The queen, you want usually your queen behind your rook. You don't really want your queen facing off against the enemy rook. Now, having said that, I've just ignored the fact that this pawn is hanging, and that's white's weakness. Okay, So there's no good winning this pawn if you're going to lose this one. Okay, so things are not so clear. And that's what that bishop was doing. Bishop there, and it looks like he might put the bishop back. Oh. Oh. Yeah, okay. So the idea is takes, takes. And if you take here, and you win the exchange back, takes, takes here. No, you win the exchange back. Sorry, you win a second exchange. White is already an exchange up. So hi there, Real Robert. You said I was about to say, can this work? So, oh, by the way, since you're in chat, just can you confirm you can hear me fine? And I have a fan on in the background, just making sure that's not upsetting the sound quality too much. That it's not. That's wonderful. Okay. So can this work? Yeah. So whenever you have a weakness, pushing a weakness is a tiny bit muffled. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, yeah. So this does seem to be working because now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers, 1, 2, only 3 defenders. You've suddenly got rid of your only weakness. Rishi Bojbor, yeah, very impressive. They're both quite similar rated. He's an exchange up. It looks like he's getting rid of his only weakness. I mean, there could be tactics I've missed, but it looks like he's doing a great job here, despite very low time, only 2 minutes, on which he's been surviving for a long time. So, quickly turning to his teammate on board 8, Arsava, and just to recap, in the pairings, they're 2-4 down against so this is the matchup. So that's the board 1 match and the board 8 match happening. And Arsava is up against Luca Gallia. That just started just less than an hour ago. And both these, if they're going to overcome Lichess Lovers Rewind, if they're going to draw with Lichess Lovers Rewind, not this one, they both need to win their matches. Yeah, that would be great, Robert. I mentioned it in general, but I didn't have time to post the link in Lichess TV as well. Hi there, Katask. We're giving some standard chess commentary of the Lichess4545 League. If anyone is new and doesn't know about the 4545 League, I'll just post the link about this. So we're just saying there's a board 1 match going on which we were just watching, and this is the board 8 match. And both these guys need to win if they want their team to draw. So that's the situation. I just wanted to just quickly have a look at this game. So it's okay. So interesting. Rerouting the knight to this square is an interesting idea from Arsava. And putting out a lot of pressure on h3, even threatening to sack perhaps on h3. Although it's not clear what the follow-up would be, but it's an interesting idea. Luca Gallia I've seen in previous seasons. He's very solid board 8. So knight here. So he's not worried about the sack. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes. Hi there, Zaim A. What's going on? I just joined. So we're offering commentary on the Lichess4545 League. That's the link to that. I'll show as we go along. I'm just going to quickly play through this game. Oh, and that's where we're up to at the moment. Okay, so we're still in the early stages of this one. Yeah, I feel Arsava is doing a good job. Luca Gallia is a standout board 8. I mean, he's a very strong board 8 player. Okay, he's about 1550 on Lichess, and board 8 ranges from about 1100 to about 1600. And he usually does very well. So it's going to be a tough opponent for Arsava, but he's playing very solidly, and kudos to him. Just quickly going back to the Grigi Bojbor game, we've just seen this move here, attempting to get rid of this weakness, and Grigi Bojbor is an exchange up, and looks like he's clearing his weakness and may even be winning a pawn. And once these files open, I think these rooks are going to be coming to life in a way. So And we see also that his time disadvantage, he's been on 2 minutes for the last half hour or so, is really coming down. So yeah, people are asking a recap of what we're doing. So those two games are the two live games between Check Please and Lichess Lovers Rewind in round 7 of the Lichess4545 League. So both those guys, Grzyborzbor and Arsava, would have to win in order to tie up their match with Lichess Lovers Rewind. And to give you the big picture, Lichess Lovers Rewind are on 8 points, and if they do win that match, they will jump up to 10 points, with 1 round to play, round 8. And just to say, my own team, enough with the V2 Tarrasch talk, we are on 11 points at the end of this round. So, very interesting then are these top teams. So let's just have a look what else is happening here in the higher teams. So Gokuba is playing against Rolilala, and that match just started, just a few minutes ago, about 20 minutes ago. So let's just take a quick look at that one. I can't find it. Okay, so maybe I didn't have it open. I thought I did. Yeah, I did. So just to give, so if Rolilala can win, or if Cos XDX can win, Victorious is going down. So let's just have a look. E4, C6. So we have a Caro-Kann. Knight C3. So I'm just slightly confused. If I just, yeah, I'm just checking. Yeah, Rolilala is white. Just checking the pairing. Is that right? Rolilala was supposed to be white against. Yeah, Rolilala is white, playing for Wheel Rook Q. Okay. Okay, so interesting. Okay, so this is the first move that kind of stands out to me. Interesting move, because it blocks up the bishop. But also a potentially risky move, because it's the kind of move where Black could immediately challenge with b6. And yeah, having said that, I'm not sure it works, because the idea is to open up the rook file, maybe to open up files on the queen side, and this pawn will then become isolated if you take. And if you don't take, then you're taking here, and Black is doing very well. So this move is fine so long as you can follow it up with this. And here you can't, because the knight defends this square. So already Gokuba had maybe a little idea with a tickle here at some point. And even if the knight didn't defend the square, often you have ideas of a5 takes, even if a3 takes, and this rook is undefended. So c5, I think, was premature. It is a good idea sometimes to play the c5 move, blocking off the opponent bishop, but white isn't quite prepared for a fight. He's stepping into the opponent half. He's stepping into his half, and he's not yet ready for that fight. Okay, but Gokuba exchanges his bishop, interesting, and doesn't react at all. Bishop e7, and this is allowing Rolilala to consolidate. And now Gokuba is thinking. So I feel one would have to question why. Yeah, so this light squared bishop is obviously Black's worst bishop, but still not completely clear why to give it up for a knight without being provoked. Even if it was provoked, you'd have choices of stepping back. So this move it feels incorrect, but it doesn't improve. So the only case of improving the position is if you could somehow target this pawn somehow. But in some way, this move could always be delayed till later if you needed it. So maybe he was worried about this coming at some point. But I don't see it. Because you could even go knight takes knight. Bishop takes bishop is not possible because knight takes bishop. And it's supported by this knight. And Real Robert says, it feels like White's light squared bishop will be biting on a rock. Yeah, so it doesn't have that much future, but there was no need to do it now. It could have waited, especially after a6. Yeah, well, I don't like a6. I think b6 should have been played earlier to release Black's dark squared bishop. And now he's got because he hasn't played that and he's played very passively, he's got to think a little bit. He's given White a good space advantage. White can now play on the king side or on the queen side. And again, I think he's going wrong slightly here, because White is prepared for a fight on the king side. White is even prepared for a fight on the queen side. And he hasn't even castled yet. And he's going for this. Okay, he's perfectly safe in the center. But I think in this position, now that he's already played, I can say I think a5 was correct. Just to absolutely say, no, you're not going on some kind of... Now let me see, maybe b6 and then a5. So something, okay, so b6 should have been played first. Now in this position, does this work? So b6 is good, b4 would follow, then here, and if he takes here, then take here. And if he takes here, then take here. So yeah, b6 and then a5. That was Black's idea. And Jamala says, after the trade, I like White. It's nothing substantial, I just prefer bishops. Yeah. Okay, so I feel we've had a good look at this game. h5. He had a nice long think. He's playing very aggressively, but as I said, I think he missed this idea. Sorry, this and then this. And Black's play is going to be on the queen side, if he had done that. And always, I mean, White's got a lot of space to attack on the king side. So he's trying to attack on the king side, and I just feel White is the one who's got the space on the king side to attack. Okay, so that's that one. Let's turn to the top board. In fact, the top two teams in the league, Smother of Dragons, and just to show you the standings, Smother of Dragons drew with us in week 1, but they're on 10 match points. Our own team is on enough with the V2 Tarastok on 9 points. But the best team is Idiot Still Proven Otherwise on 11 points, led by Lovelass on board 1, the international master. And he quickly dispatched Finn33 earlier today. Well, I don't know if it was quickly, but I haven't yet seen that match. But it's all going to come down to their board 8, high on Pottenuse against Relative Impact. Now, of course, as one of the chasing teams, I have to admit I am cheering a little bit for Smother of Dragons to tie up this match, because a draw at least kind of holds back these two teams ahead of us. So, go Relative Impact. I'm a little bit biased, aren't I? Now, do I have that match opened? Yeah, I do. And gosh, these players are playing quickly. This match only started half an hour ago. So Real Robert, you've given me the link for the Lichess TV. I got it. I prefer just getting it from the pairings, because then I can tell you what's going on. Jamalu likes the team names. Thanks. At least a week. Every season, a week goes into thinking about them. So these two players are playing incredibly quickly. You can just see you have 45 minutes on the clock. Every move you get an extra 45 seconds, and these guys are already like nearing an end game, having used only 10 minutes. So let's see how Relative Impact is doing against high on Pottenuse. So we have a Queen's Gambit declined exchange variation. So this is classical chess. But thanks for sharing that link, Real Robert, because that will be useful for others who want to keep an eye on everything at once. I should check quickly back to the Grigi-Bojbol match, because we just saw that, just to see what happened after that push. I really thought he was going to take this one, so he's kind of surprised me. And it's quite interesting because I think he's thinking this one's weak anyway, I can take that next time. He backs off, he takes that one, and then he takes that one anyway. Okay. So it looks like... Ah, there are tricks here, because there's a threat of knight here check, winning the queen if the rook ever moves. So this is a tricky stuff. So how to defend that rook? I didn't mean... Okay, but actually that doesn't work. Because the queen can cover. Queen takes knight. Oh, but knight here check, winning the queen. Yeah, that's the idea. Now, I know I was promising you another game, but this one suddenly did heat up. Wow, and he's just got 1 minute to figure this out. It's not easy. So that he's up a lot. Like, he's got 2 rooks, a bishop, and a queen. He's up 2 exchanges, if there is such a thing. He's up 2 exchanges, but he's got to try and figure out this. And Jesse's... Oh yeah, Jesse's also low on time. So Greasy Dodgeball's been low on time the whole time. Okay, because my intuitive reaction was just back off. That just doesn't work because of knight here check and takes the queen. So maybe rook here. No, because you can't take the bishop. It's check. So yeah, how to solidify your position? I think he's done the right thing. So after any move like this, you could just simply take the knight. Something just worth saying, lower board players are especially happy just to fling forward their f-pawns and go on these crazy attacks. And just look, if this f-pawn weren't there, this would be a discovered check, and then things would be a lot more hairy, and then he'd be winning the rook for free. So notice how Grishy Bojbor has a very safe king. Fianchetto, he hasn't moved the f-pawn. I think kudos to that. He played through the centre, he's playing aggressive chess, and there's nothing wrong with moving the f-pawn, of course, but I'm just saying in this particular position, he can be very grateful that this f2 pawn is still there. Having said that, black is still okay as long as his back rank is okay. I mean, he's always got this square to step up to. So these 2 bishops are actually providing good cover. So, yeah, it looks hard to win more than the exchange back for Jesse, and only 1 minute on the clock. But going back to the game I was promising you, which was this one. So this is a very important game because High Hypotenuse is playing for the top team in the league, and he needs, just to show you the pairings again, High Hypotenuse needs a win for their team to draw this game. Hi there, Erin. Can I do this every week? It's so much more enjoyable to watch someone think critically about 45 games than doing it yourself. I'd love to do this myself, but not sure if my English is good enough. That's not true. Erin, you would be much better at this than me. And this is a very special week because obviously we're coming to the end of round 7 and round 8 next week, and I just happen to be free today, and normally I'm not on weekends. So okay, so he was targeting b2, so very solid from both players. This is real classical chess we're seeing here. c5, I'm not sure why c5, so that's what I'm trying to think. So you have quite a solid pawn structure, and by playing c5, it does look as if you're going to weaken this pawn. So I'm not saying c5 is always bad or something, but in this particular position, takes, you're not really... This diagonal is well blocked, so it just feels like black is playing in the wrong... So what would be my idea here? I mean, getting this bishop out would be good at some point. Maybe putting a knight on e4 would be good. c5, okay, it's opening up the position. Okay, c5 would be good if you had a rook ready on c8 to take over this open c-file. In fact, it's white who has the material ready. And, oh, so Levy says, I'd love to do this myself, but not sure. Oh, Levy said that, okay. And Nick says, doing commentary is definitely more fun than playing. Listening to someone's commentary and making, and Aaron says, listening to someone's commentary and making fun of the player's mistakes is even more fun. And Jamal, doing commentary while playing must be awesome then. Well, okay, so, yeah, I'm not, I am aware, so I have limitations. Okay, so this, as in I'm not one of the best players in the league, I'm just a board 2 player, so I'm just doing my best here. So that I can't make fun of players because I would be, often even lower board players in my team point out mistakes I'm making. So we see here the first problem with this push. This pawn is weak, and white immediately capitalizes by taking his central pawn. Now black's getting compensation, or I thought he was, by but he's not, because this knight hangs. So he might have been hoping for compensation here, but he needs to hold on to this knight, and so white can, oof, and he can't even take here with the queen because this knight is hanging. So we see this decision by relative impact is really biting on him. His king side is completely exposed. So this is I hadn't played on further, and I was already saying I was a bit worried about this move, and we really see already, just in a few moves later, the problem. With this move, his king is opened up. Now white's grabbing the open file, white's rooks are coming to the other open file. So relative impact, okay, and what he does is actually quite smart. His king is less safe, he trades everything down. And this is actually a lesson for high-on hypotenuse. It would have been better, I think, to keep the queens on the board, because queens and knights would have been a complete headache for this king. Of course, when they trade down to an endgame, this pawn structure is not ideal, but maybe relative impact has hopes in an endgame, whereas with queens on the board, it may be even more difficult with this kind of pawn structure. But still, it's advantage high on hypotenuse in this position. He's a pawn up, as we see, and it's his... No, I'm really confused. Yes, no, it's not his move, it's black's move. And white's just done this because he wants to just guard this pawn and bring the other rook in. So suddenly this is actually looking like actually quite an even position. Yeah, white is a pawn up and may trade a bit more. It's advantage to high on hypotenuse to draw this match for his team. But you can see how different this position is. You know, this is weak, but then black does have a bishop. It's maybe slightly better than the knight. Having said, the knight is actually a very good knight. Knight's coming in. And high on hypotenuse just says a pawn up and a better pawn structure, hoping for more exchanges. So we see already his ideas. He just wants to trade off rooks and trade into a better endgame. And Levy says, I'm doing okay coming from a board 1 player, and the match Grando versus Fudley will decide results of our match. Yeah, I've got that open, that tab open. And Nick says, this seems like a technical win for white. Better structure, extra pawn. Yeah, it's a technical win, but the problem is these are board 8 players, and anything can happen. And this position is disgusting for black. Brilliant move from white. Excellent move from black, just trying to trade down. But here, what a difference. Okay, now I could be wrong. So rook here, bishop here. So it seems white could have forced the queen trade anyway. Yeah, rook here, bishop here. Is there anything? Yeah, so yeah, I can't see anything. So okay, the queen trade could have been forced. Now I look more closely. So maybe what he did is actually perfect. Just go for the technical win. Still, you just wish that there was. You just sort of think there must be something, but maybe the mistake is actually here. Rook d1 looks like such an excellent move, but maybe it would have been a good idea just to back off that bishop and take over this open file. I think that was the slight mistake. Yes, so as Jamal was asking, how far are we into this league? And it's last game's, as Real Robert says, these are the last games of week 7. Yeah, so I actually think this is a quite critical position, not for an engine, but in terms for humans. If White had backed off this bishop and grabbed these open files, I feel White is actually crushing this position, or bishop here. And maybe, yeah. Whereas with allowing these exchanges, the knight with the bishop, the queen's off, so White was very keen on these exchanges. They're perfectly fine, but they give Black an opportunity to outplay White in an endgame. And remember, there's almost a 150-point gap between the two players, so anything could happen. Now, I did have Fuddly against Grando open. Was that the one people were saying? And yeah, do tell me if your guys are playing. I have Fuddly against Grando open. I just wanted to show you the team situation. So Fuddly has got Erin Yu on board 1, Colwem on board 6, Fuddly on board 8, and this is likely a draw, so it's likely going to be 4-3, so Fuddly probably needs at least a draw for the Knight King to win their match. And I have this match open, and Fuddly, as I said, was an alt for our team, but also then played as an alt against us. So he's played both for us and against us. Okay, so remember, Fuddly probably just needs a draw in this. And we have a kind of weird sort of King's Indian because Grando hasn't played c4. But it's like a 4-pawns attack without c4. And interestingly, yeah, slightly scary, White. So in this position, this would seem natural because you're kicking this knight and breaking open the center, although probably castling, yeah, castling quickly is advisable. But now this is interesting. The problem, I'm slightly nervous. Takes. So you're going to, what are you achieving? You're if Black does take, you're opening up his G file, and you've also got a pawn on f5, which could be a slight weakness, but you can always reinforce it with b4, and Black doesn't really want to start playing h5, I don't think. Oh yes, the perk with perk with f4 is called the Austrian attack. And Jamal says, I hate playing against this as Black. And Aaron says, this is exactly the opening I want to play if a draw is all I need. Yeah, so I'm just trying to think this f5 move. So f5 move is very interesting. I'm not... It opens up White's bishop. It opens up Black's G file. I imagine White's plan would be to do this and castle queenside. Push this, and yeah, actually this could get quite scary for Black. Just to look at the comments. G takes f5 is good, right? Blocks the bishop and the rook. Don't think Black can build an attack on White's king. So let's see what happened. Takes. So now in this sort of position, I think it's very important to get the king on h8 and the rook on g8 to take advantage of this open file. And Joel Kalanda Bughouse says, is this normal house? Yeah, this is standard chess. I am a member of the Lichess4545 League, but I'm watching and commentating on others' games. And Jamala says he likes f5, maybe premature. I think it may be opening theory, but okay. So, oof. Okay, so Black's already noticed something. Takes bishop. Obviously, you have to take back the queen to reinforce this pawn. So he does that. This move, he wants to get out the queen, maybe, and he wants maybe to push here. But push here. I mean, there's also this at some stage. Because that could potentially open up the rook file, or it could open up. Yeah, I feel this. Yes, this move. Maybe he didn't want to pin on the knight, but I'm not sure why not. I do like at some point king h8, rook g8 once you have time. I like this because white hasn't castled yet, but white is only going to take a move to castle, so maybe that's not such a good idea. Then this is an idea, it doesn't quite work because, well, it might work now, but once white castles, he's going to have queen and rook on this file. So c5 might have been a possibility. So I'm thinking e6, c5. I'm not sure about c6, but what do I know? And Christo Levy 2488 says c6 because he wants b5, b4. This feels slow though. I feel e6, c5, go a6, b5. That's just my feeling. So black does castle queenside, and you see now c5 is not possible because the pressure on d8. He goes a6 anyway. Oof. Okay, so tactics time. Takes. I'm not sure this is working because you can take back with the pawn, right? Okay, I shouldn't. We're in live session now. But this move was highly risky from Grando, disconnecting. Disconnecting from this pawn, kind of inviting this, and so you, in any such situation like this, you have to ask yourself, what are the checks the opponent has, what are the captures, and calculate these forcing moves all the way down. And I haven't done that yet, but okay, we're in check. So whatever happens, white's queen next move is going to be under attack, and he's taking this bishop. There's nothing else he can do. So I feel like white's just hung a piece, because he can just double capture. So who are you cheering for again? This Fudley is on Team Erin. Well, looks like you might be winning. Grando had a... I didn't like the way he was setting up his pawns, but I felt white here is doing very nicely, really. Okay, so there we go. Oh, he's not up a piece. Okay, sorry, this was an exchange. I completely miss... Takes the pawn, takes the knight. I'm trying to work out who won a pawn. He won a pawn, did he? Takes the knight, takes the knight, takes the bishop. Okay, so he hasn't won a piece. I missaw it. It's just a pawn though, right? Not a piece. Yeah, that's my mistake. And Levi says, since I lost my game, this looks good for white as well. Knight takes g5 as he makes it. Yes, so yeah. So Fudley is in some danger. Okay, I missaw. I thought it was... So it was Christo on board 1 of that matchup, losing to Erin. So that's actually quite an interesting one. Okay, what? Okay. Well, that changes everything, right? Yeah, I hadn't calculated the move deeper, which is knight takes pawn, threatens mate, rook e8, queen takes pawn. It's not mate at all. King here, completely safe. It looks terrible, but white's getting back the pawn he lost. Getting back 2 of the pawns he lost, in fact. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. So white's a pawn up, has a king on f8. The black queen will be coming round and exchanging off. So, so it did look very dangerous. Knight takes pawn, winning 2 pawns. But instead, he's going for this, and I think that does change everything. Joel says queen takes g5 and bishop h6 now. Yeah. Moha says the stream isn't working for me. But how is it working for everyone else? Is I think there's a deeper issue of queen takes f7 check, king h8, queen h5 with multiple threats. Yeah, I'm sorry, my analysis has been terrible today, hasn't it? After rook e8, the white queen could just take on f7, king back here, and then back here, threatening to take on h7, which can't be stopped. So then you have to walk here. So it was game over at that point. Now black, it's okay. So takes, takes, takes. Oof. So I'm sorry, Christo, for your teammate, but it's looking tough. Fuddly, I have to say, oh, yeah, he's finding the moves. He's finding the moves. That was the only move, and I hadn't spotted it myself. So, gosh. Oh, okay. These guys, these board 8 players are just like totally surprising me every move. I'm like, oh look, he's lost his knight. Oh no, he has h4 to defend it. Oh no, he has f6. He is losing it after all. Yes. Okay. Okay, I'm going to come back to this game. I hope they play on. These are board 8 players. This is a very important match. You need to fight to the end. But I have to say, I've seen Fuddly in his last round match against Zero, my teammate. He played a really nice match. Very nice player. He's very solid. I also saw his round 1 match, which he lost. So I know his weakness as well, which I would say is he might sort of hang a pawn or something. Maybe his weakness in round 1 was trading down in lost positions, basically. So he was a pawn down and allowed himself to be trade down. Okay, a lot might still be happening, so let's quickly go back to the Grigibor match, which White was doing very well in, and stuff happened. That king, I said, was relatively safe on h7. It turned out the back rank was an issue. Oof. He's winning the queen, and a very nice checkmate. So Grigibor gets the business done against Jesse F. So Lichess Lovers Rewind, all your hopes are with Luca Gallia to win this round for your team. And we saw the beginning of this match, but and as Lapa says, go Luca, draw is enough to secure the win. Indeed, Luca just needs to draw. He's a very good player. And we saw the beginning of this match. Did we? I don't think we saw this far. Yes, we saw up to here. And up to here. And up to here. And things are just starting to get interesting. We saw, in fact, our server putting lots of pressure on h3. Okay, so he takes on d4, and I just have to ask, why take? Are you winning a pawn? What? So sometimes, okay, it's not always true, but sometimes to take is a mistake, because if you take, the opponent takes back, and the opponent's c-pawn suddenly becomes a central pawn, and you've lost your control of the center. I'm not saying this is true here, but I'm just asking, why are you taking? Maybe it's good, but in order to be good, it must be that you can somehow undermine these pawns, but I just feel they look quite strong, so I'm not seeing why take. Okay, so he clearly, that's his idea, he wants to target that pawn. White could have reinforced, but White did what Black wanted in a way, which is to push and then give him the outpost. Okay, but the thing is White had calculated to move deeper, and Luca Gallia finds that. So unless Black had also seen this move, and seen maybe there's some problem with this move, like this diagonal or something, or some sacrifice, yeah, so Black's mistake it's already here. I feel just taking. I said it might be a strategic mistake, and I feel it was. Black got everything he wanted, but it ends up with his own pieces. So why does this happen to him? He might say, I'm so unlucky, this happened to me, my pieces got fought. But he's tried to take over the center, but white is now controlling the center. And so that's why his pieces got fought. Meaning the reason is strategic. If he kept his pawn here, this wouldn't have happened. Now, what should he have done in this position instead of taking? It's quite difficult to say. I mean, white does have, I'm going to look at the chat in a second, white does have good control on the king side. So I'm wondering what, yeah, it's a difficult problem. Krista says, I've got to go study, great stream, I'm sure I will come to watch next time, keep it up. Why sack on h3 with the bishop and not the knight? And Maha says, the video started working, that's great. So anyone in chat, what should black have done in this position? Okay, so what I'm thinking is, why not something like this? No, and this might not work because white could push or take, but at least this is an idea, right? This, you then come into the center. If you push, you come into the center. Now, it might not work because it may be that white just had d5. So maybe he was feeling, I'm getting a little bit cramped in this position, and that's why he took. He was maybe afraid of this push. So I'm wondering in this position, these sorts of ideas, but I can see he was worried about this. But yeah, actually this may be a problem, because then this pawn is weak. So maybe this. So he needed to do other things. Maybe this, bring the knight back, push here, then d6 is weak. If anyone in chat can say what black should do here. Yeah, okay, so you think it's already tough. Okay, but we're ready to take. To take is a mistake, they sometimes say, and this is why. This looks gorgeous. The knight's got a beautiful outpost, but unfortunately this knight is here. His knights are forked, so yeah, he should have sacked with the knight. Maybe. But okay, I'm not sure why to sack at all, because you've got two pieces under attack. I don't see... No, sacking, you're going to lose two pieces anyway. So it takes this way. Yeah. Okay, I mean, he's got queen takes. No, I mean, at the end of the line, he does have this knight outpost secured. So I can understand he's down two pieces, but he has more pawns, and he's hoping for some kind of kingside compensation. Yeah, I don't think he has it, but it's like he goes desperado here, but maybe with the wrong... So if he went desperado with the knight, takes back, he's still losing two pieces. Unless you go takes, and then move this knight. So, yeah, so maybe that's what he should have done. Just lose a piece for a pawn. Knight back. But then this pawn comes here, blocks off your bishop, blocks off your attack. Yeah, I think it was terrible, whatever. Bishop f6, so going back here, thank you. So you suggest bishop f6 and knight e7. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I like bishop f6. Bishop f6 is good. So he has, and it would basically incite this, and that's why you're going knight e7. Yeah. Something like that seems reasonable. And then maybe even fianchettoing, bringing the knight back. Maybe at some point pushing f5. Maybe doing some push on the queen side. Yeah, black had... Yeah, black is a little bit cramped. He's fine with exchanging off minors. That's why he's absolutely delighted if this ever happened. But he needed to maintain his central control. Okay, so that's the situation in this match. As Jesse said, looks like Lichess lovers Rewind are doing great here. They've defended their knight. Oof. The knight's coming into the attack with an attack on the rook. Okay, the queen takes. Okay, just trading down. Might even be just trying to trade down. Yeah, there are no squares for the queen. No obvious squares for the queen. So that's that one. And just looking at the comments. Queen f1, rook h3. Queen f1, rook h3 is an interesting idea. Yeah. Queen e1 now to annoy black. Okay, yeah, my first reaction is queen e1. Queen f1 is interesting also. So notice how all those three squares which check the king are guarded. There are no knight checks coming in. Yeah, rook h3 is annoying. I mean, queen e1, you could go queen, yeah. Queen f1 hits this as well. It's the advantage, but yeah. Very nice play from Lichess. As I said, he's a really solid board 8 player. And White Dancing Rockstar says, black's pieces are all strange. Yeah, in the end position, he has a nice knight, but that knight is up against all these guys. So, good luck. So that looks like it's going to come to a close soon. Okay, so going back, the top board, relative impact against high on hypotenuse. Just no, we haven't checked in on this one for a while, and that's already over. And I think we said we thought black would win this one. We didn't play through the game; we just saw the position. The bishop was chased around, so this was a match between Oroach and Rebel Me, and Oroach needed a draw, I think, to win from his team. Oof. He comes in, attacks b2, and b2's moved, but that weakens c3. So maybe there was a case for just going queen c2 or something here, and saying that knight actually was really silly on a4. It can never get out. It's kind of dumb. It's a trapped knight, but instead he let it out, and it suddenly becomes, well, a monster knight, or a knight just eating up all your pieces. So Kirsta says, I have to share something before I go. Okay, so black's winning a couple of pawns, trading, very nice pawn structure. Okay, white fighting on, which is good, and very nice the way he captures a pawn back. So white gets some counterplay. And really notice how, because it's only one pawn somehow pushes faster than two. So actually really nice play. Oh my goodness. He's almost winning the race. Whoa. Okay. So this one, you can't take it, because then white wins the race. He queens first, and white gets at least a perpetual. So you can't take that queen. But what happened? White resigned. I don't understand. So black has at least a perpetual. But why does white resign? I mean, black only needed a draw. Okay, so Krista says, Grando typed in team chat why he played queen takes g5. He said, my friend who I was teaching how to play hit my touchscreen asking, why not take with the queen? Oh, I see. Yeah, so he shouldn't be talking in a match, but it's fine. He's not giving away any information. So this game is still ongoing, and he's losing a piece at the end of that. Poor guy. So his friend cheats him of his piece, and of basically his win. And Moha says, when I play a 45-45 game, I go 10 meters away from my family, at least. So we were in the middle of looking at another game. Queen takes queen and king f8 won easily. Oh, yeah. Good point. Who said that? White Dancing Rockstar. takes, takes. The king is inside the box of the pawn, obviously. But wait, does it win easily? He's in the box of this pawn. So, well, we can look at the engine. If queen takes queen, yeah, I think this is a draw. Takes, oh, it's not so clear. King f8. So white gets inside the box of this pawn. I mean, suppose I just go chasing this pawn. King e3 here. King d4 here, here. Okay, so yeah, you win, but only because you're a pawn up, so it's not easy. The pawn endgame is winning because you're 4 against 3. True. And Pedro Garcia says king e8 to d7 takes d6. Yeah, so I hadn't got to the stage of actually counting the pawns. But now what actually happened in the game is he went for the check and white resigned. But I was still thinking this is premature to resign because white does have drawing ideas. Queen f1 check. So what did Queen f1 check, king to g4, queen to e2 check, king to h3. Okay, so you push. Okay, so I just think you have to be careful, that's all. I mean, you do have moves like this. Queen to h5 check, king to g2. So it's saying you can just do this, and the checks run out in this sort of position. Okay. And if you get behind, then you can just obviously go check, check, and queen. Yeah, so if you're trying to watch the pawn, unfortunately you're on a light square, so hard luck to you. So that turned out to be a very clean game from Oroa. He only needed a draw, so maybe that was also part of the reason. Like, the team didn't need him to fight for a draw here, because a draw was no good for his team. Okay, so we're done with that one. Indeed, pawn endgames of pawn up are almost always winning. Okay, so this one, as I said, Kirsto's board 8, Grando's. His friend unfortunately touched his touchpad, and he's a piece down because of that. So just to reload the TV. So here we have just everything that's happening at once, so maybe we can see what's exciting. So we see Luca Gallia with loads of pieces up against for Lichess Lovers Rewind against Check Please, which we saw earlier. We have Rolly Lala against Gokubo, which we haven't checked in for a while, so we're going to check that out. And this is a really important game, High-On Hypotenuse against Relative Impact, so I'm going to check in on that. These are the top two teams. High-On Hypotenuse is playing for Lovelace's team, who are clear leaders of the league, but they are 3-4 down in this round. And we already saw the beginning of this match, where High-On Hypotenuse was playing really well, and we said this was a bit of a mistake, this pawn push on c5, but High-On Hypotenuse is going for exchanges. And we see commentary by Lovelace in the chat, so that's quite interesting. Rook c2, king d1. So, well, I'm not quite sure where we're up to, but you've got to play FE. Okay, so knight takes, pawn takes, rook takes, rook takes. So just a second, why is he pushing this pawn? He's trying to double up white's pawns. So I'm trying to both look at the game and look at the chat. It says Lovelace endgame is probably winning for white, but might not be elementary. Takes, takes. He's trying to exchange off the rooks. Alright, so it could have been a pawn endgame. And white is a pawn up. So we're going to test that. White Dancing Rockstar was just saying, pawn endgames are 90% winning. So this one is interesting because you've got pawns on both sides. Yeah, it should be. I'm surprised he didn't take this pawn. It's sort of a free pawn. Why not take it? Looks like a free pawn. And the other move he says is rook a8. So we haven't got there yet. Rook a8, rook to b1. Okay, I don't think that's yet, is it? Rook a8, rook to b1, rook takes a4. So I'm not quite sure where that was. So I'm trying to read the Loveless. You guys can see the Loveless chat as well, but I'm kind of struggling with when rook takes a4 would happen. Rook to a1. So rook to a. So okay, well let's just keep going. Maybe I just need to put you guys can see the chat, so I'll just leave it there. So you can see his chat, and I'll just try and focus on the game now. So just going back a second. So I said these exchanges, maybe they were forced, but if white could have avoided the no-go. So bringing the king in is always good, okay. Yeah, this is interesting. I guess he wanted to do this, takes this, and takes this. That's what he was hoping, so try and disrupt the pawn structure. Taking the bishop, again, I feel that's a slight mistake from Hiram Potonius, but interesting, because you are undoubling black's pawns. But I guess it's the philosophy of simplifying a pawn up. a4 was not free this game. Bishop, b takes a4, bc4. Yeah, wow. Nice one, Pedro Garcia. a4 was a trap. a4 was a trap. So you had to take the bishop first. Okay, nice one, nice one. So he takes this, but now he could have taken, maybe. Takes this one, offers a trade of rooks, rejected. Now what? He pushes, pushes, pushes. Okay, so we're in a rook endgame. I'm not sure. So, like, who was offering the rook trade? Black rejected the rook trade. Okay, so black is a pawn down, wants to keep the rooks on. That does make sense. So black at any point could force the rooks off with this and takes the rook. No, but white was offering the rook trade. Yeah, white is offering the rook trade because he's a pawn up. I understand now. Okay, sorry, I'm being a bit slow here. So he's thinking of maybe coming here and picking up this pawn. And the king is coming across, just controlling this square. And again, white's offering the rook trade, black's declining the rook trade. Okay, so that's where we are now. He could have easily attacked that pawn from here, and black defends from behind, but he chose to attack it from behind. Is that wise? Because black can always defend, like so. Why? Why is black just giving away his pawn? Because he wants this pawn. Interesting. Well, Hiram Potonius is actually outplaying. I said relative impact was 150 points higher rated, so I favoured him in an endgame. But having said that, he does have this pawn, which is concerning. Because now Hiram Potonius is 2 pawns up. Okay, but now this rook is going to come and take off this pawn, unless you defend it. Ah, okay. Now is nervous times. When can this pawn queen? You have to try and calculate. Actually, the rook is kind of tied to this rank, defending this pawn. The pawn can never. The rook just needs to stay on this file, and it can never queen. So how can black ever support this? Can you bring his king in? No, because white can always cut off the black king from approaching. And his rook is stuck there in the meantime. In the meantime, white can now push this pawn. So yeah, I feel this should be a... Whoa, he has a pawn here as well. Yeah, so this is going to have to take this now. Oh, yeah, about time. And this is going to take this. So we're down to a 3v1 rook and pawn endgame. Very exciting. Okay, Loveless meant after. Okay, Okay, if you guys can follow. B takes a. Okay, should I? If rook d4, pawn e4 takes b5. So Erin says 3v1 ends up winning since there's not much chance of fh pawns. Okay, so apparently fh pawns would be a draw. Now that's some endgame wisdom from the Twitch chat from Erin. That's good to know. Pedro Garcia, if rook d4, pawn e4, and takes b5. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not following exactly where rook d4. And then PKR said 25. Yeah, so I'm not good with remembering exactly where pieces are. So in this position, so he's talking about. Oh, okay, I see. So you're saying instead of that, I can't move pieces. Takes here. Okay, I see the line now. Okay, so rook e8, rook b1, rook takes a4. Rook takes b7, he means, and rook takes a2 check. Must be 1-0. So you clear away this side of the board. Well, I don't know. And White Dancing Rockstar says, I'm impressed by this 1400. So let me just have a look. Takes. So we're up to here. Okay, so Han Potonius has got rid. He throws in a check. Now, why does he throw in that check? He's going to pick up this pawn next. So throwing in the check is threatening what? Because if check, king just goes here, and rook here, checkmate. Ooh. That's interesting, isn't it? Check, king here, rook here, checkmate. Nice one. So the king has to go back. It's a trap, he said. It's no big deal, but it's just a little trap, little trumper, as the Spanish say. And then you're going to take that pawn. Very nice. So Relative Impact has got a fight with the sole pawn against these 3 pawns. Okay, so good luck to him. So High Potonius, good luck to High Potonius to try and draw level for his team. And that has huge implications, by the way. If Idiots Till Proven Otherwise manage to get a draw, they will be on 12 points. And they will be outright leaders. And I think second place will be our own team, enough with the V2 Tarash talk, on 11 points. And one of these two, Smother of Dragons, Smother of Dragons, if they draw, will also be on 11 points. And V2 Victorious, let's just see what's happening with them. So, Smother of Dragons against Idiots Still Proven Otherwise, we just saw, it's all coming down to that rook end game we were just watching. Our own team, we just smashed it this week, 6.5, 1.5. None of our teammates lost their games. Wonderful week for us. Now, this is really critical game. V2 Victorious are on 10 points. And they have 2 matches ongoing, and we haven't really checked on these 2 matches for a long time. So let's have a good look at these 2 matches. So one of them is Rolilala against Gokuba. And just to clarify, V2 Victorious have Gokuba and David Inns, and they're against We Will Rook You. Now, actually, if these guys win, they will be on 12 points alongside Idiots Till Proven Otherwise. So if V2 Victorious can win, but that means they need to get 1.5. They need to get both these guys to win, Gokuba and David Inns. So quite a tough ask. So now we were right at the beginning of the stream. We were checking out this match between Rolilala and Gokuba, and I was saying that c5 might be a slight error, but it needs to be broken needs to be broken, that move, and I felt Gokuba was playing quite aggressively and maybe on the wrong. Maybe this and this was maybe a better idea. B6 first, then A5 after B4, just to break down White's pawn chains. This I felt was a bit hyper-aggressive. And by the way, White Dancing Rockstar, yeah, these 1400s, they do play nicely, but then they also blunder. So, and then a lot of it is psychological when they lose hope. So now this move it looks like a pawn sacrifice, and it's bringing the queen into the... So I feel like Walilala should be doing really well this game. Like, I feel he's better on the king side, better on the queen side. I can't see why he can't just take this. Ah, that's the problem. So he doesn't want to take because of this. I mean, it's very double-edged. Queen takes here, knight here, check. Okay, takes. You open up the rook file, but okay, we get a really powerful queen. Knight takes pawn, otherwise we just won a free pawn. Queen takes g7, knight here, check. We move the king somewhere, maybe king up, so that we're defending the rook. And the rook doesn't have a good square. We could take the rook, but then we're taking this rook with check, a whole rook, whereas this knight we're going to capture. So we're taking the rook, then taking the queen. So I feel this knight was free pawn on offer, but maybe someone in chat disagrees with me. But instead he goes for this. Gokuba just throwing his kingside pawns forwards. Okay, then he takes the knight. What? I see, yes. He's taking the knight with the pawn, and the point is black can't recapture or he loses the rook, but he can recapture the bishop. So he's winning a pawn like this, with the rook take. Okay, he's defending the rook with the bishop, and I guess the reason he's doing this is he didn't want white to have this advanced past a pawn, which makes sense, and also this bishop is putting pressure on d4. Okay, so there's a certain logic to what Gokuba's doing, but it's not looking that pretty for him, because structurally speaking, white is up by a pawn in this position, and as long as white can stabilize, white can bring all his pieces to the queen side, and sorry, to the king side, and completely overrun black. But maybe black can castle as well. But I'm just thinking knight d2, queen c2. We'll see what happens. Knight d2 happened. Queen f6. Okay, yeah, this is a lot of pressure on that square. Very nice move. So yeah, really nice move. Really nice find. The knight is pinned, so yes, I said I prefer black now. Really? I mean, I'm thinking white is castling. They're both castling. Okay. So, oh yeah, so castle's queenside here is interesting because h7 is protected, and then we have a treble attack on this d4 pawn. But of course we can't take immediately, or a7 would hang. But okay, we saw this instead. This looks quite nasty actually, because he's threatening both the back rank check and taking f2, and I don't see a defense. So he castles, loses f2, but still everything's defended by the bishop. So come on, this is white's wonder piece in this position, and this is next if he can just get out this pin. Having said that, it's not, because he's got rook, knight, queen. So good defense from white. Yeah, this bishop is beautiful, defending everything. So yeah, interesting. So just to quickly recap, this is round 7 of the Lichess4545 League. Gokuba and David Inns both have to win for Victorious to be equal top of the league at the end of the day. At the end of this round, with one round to go. And we just saw Gokuba. Yeah, so bishop f6 turned out to be a very nice move here. Maybe the mistake from white is just not cashing in here. instead going for a quite tactical combination with this. And this d4 pawn proves a weakness. Okay, so he loses this pawn, so now it's quite even, and Gokuba's having a think about what to do. Now, in the other game, which just started the most recently of all these games, David Inns, I'm going to look at it from the perspective of cos x dx. So David Inns is on the side of victorious. If they win, they will be equal leaders. I'm looking from the side of the underdogs, because if the underdogs win, that means our own team is has fewer challenges, as it were, at the top. Because if victorious win, they are actually a point ahead of us, and if they win their last round, we can't catch them. So cos x dx, he has a 100-point rating advantage over his opponent. He's the board. Is it the board 2 or board 3? Board 3. A board 3 on 2001. So, tough match for David Inns, I have to say. And so, what's the opening? We have an exchange French with an early c5. So in this kind of position, there's no reason... I don't think there's any reason why white can't just play f3 here. Because it controls e4. Bishop can always drop back to f2. I mean, so the dark squares are not a problem. So I feel f3 is a good move here. Like, that was the whole point of going here, is the f-pawn is mobile. So the problem with h3 is that once you've gone h3, you can't really go f3. And if you ever do move the f-pawn, g3 is a big weakness. And this bishop could... The queen and the bishop could maybe get in on that weakness. So that's why I'm a little bit nervous about h3 in this position. But okay, he drops back. It's the knight side. Maybe just a minor inaccuracy from white. Drops back again. And yeah, we've got the sort of position with both got isolated pawns, but quite well reinforced. Two defenders, a third one if necessary. A little trap also if necessary. That's the classic French defense trap. If ever you overwhelm this, if there's a discovered... If your king is here, for example, there may be a discovered check. You have to watch out for any discovered checks at the end of any line. Okay. Throwing the pawns forward is white. Wow. Yeah, he's serious. He wants to trap that bishop. So you either have to go here or take. He goes takes. Makes sense. Takes. And this is still defended, so everything's still okay. I think he wants to do this. Rook grabs the file. Okay, the thing about this is, where does white's king belong? I mean, white's king at the moment is on an open file. Okay, their piece is in the way, but he has to... And by going rook here... Yeah, he's thrown all his pawns forwards. So it means white never has a safe haven for his king. But for now it's looking fine, but I'm just worried for the future. h6. Now h6 is asking for trouble for black, because it's inviting g5. Takes. And maybe white could castle and, you know, have a rook on that f-file very quickly. So why h6? Maybe because black doesn't want to castle. But you don't want to castle into this rook file either, though. So I'm slightly worried about black after h6. Why does he do that? Okay, king f2. He reinforces... yes. So that's why he did h6. Okay, so there was this move here, and knight takes pawn. And that tactic seems to have been missed. Like straight away, in fact. You have knight here, Knight takes pawn. That works, doesn't it? But h6 does nothing because takes. The knight is still under attack. So h6 was a really... Queen d7 was a mistake, h6 is still a mistake because this pawn is still weak. Okay, but now he's defended the pawn, so everything's fine. And he's put his knight on e4, so all is back to normal, all is hunky-dory. And he takes the pawn. And suddenly, you see, he's prepared for the open file. Yeah, exactly. Wasn't g5 winning d5? Absolutely. And hi there, the Phantom of Foz. What goes on over here? So what goes on over here normally is Crazy House. But what goes on today is some analysis of some standard classical chess on Lichess. And if you check out my YouTube, you can see lots of Crazy House and a little bit of standard chess as well. And it's all organized into playlists, so you can find it all. But what's happening now is a live event over 8 weeks in which, in fact, I'll just post the link, a live event over 8 weeks in which teams of 8 players play against each other in 45 plus 45 chess. And just to show you, these are the teams. I haven't opened up the rosters so you can see who's on each team. So look how many teams there are. So many. You have all these teams, and then you have the alts on each team. If you're interested, check it out. Go to the website, Lichess4545.com. Anyway, these are the standings. Sorry, these are the standings. We see Idiots Till Proven Otherwise, led by the Norwegian international master Lovelace, are leading the field, but they're under pressure because they need their board 8, Taiwan Potenius, who's rated lower by 150 points, to win his match. But he's doing a great job. He's 3 pawns up against 2. He takes the pawn, and he's going to try and win with 3 pawns against 1. Check. Push. Black keeps his pawn. So what do we think about that? Pushing the pawn. So he's going for 2 pawns against none, and he was trying to win that endgame. And as Erin says, the one endgame you have to be worried about is H and F files. Might be a draw. You're saying, what's my team? My team is enough with the V2 Tarash talk. Well, we just won this round, so we're actually on 11 points now. But Idiots Till Proven Otherwise will be on 12 points if this guy can win. We just had a cracking week. We won 6.5, 1.5. That's our team. None of our teammates lost this week. We just smashed it. But okay, yeah, back to this. I need to stop bragging. Why not h4 instead of g4? Yeah, h4 looks good. I think Taiwan Potenius throughout this game has had the philosophy of I'm winning, now let's trade down, which is it's a good strategy. And that was his motivation, quite simply. But indeed, he's checked. The thing I'm slightly worried about is, okay, did Black have this? No, White has this. So I'm trying to think, does Black have, yeah. Wow. In this position, Black had this and then this. Ah, and then White had this and then this. But then the annoying thing is you can't take this because Rook takes comes with check. So then it's a trade down 2 pawns against the king. But you could just move out of the way and the king is pinned. Remember the rook's here, So the king is actually trapped. So white is in a kind of zugzwang. He could go here maybe. Not quite zugzwang, but you know what I mean. And you could go here. I really love this kind of idea. If this, we could go chasing off this one. I think black had a draw. I think black might have even had a draw here. You said it's completely winning, of course. Rook ace. Oh, yeah. So here, rook a6. True. Back off. Takes. Yes. Okay. Nice one. Reside. Well done. Nice one. Nice one. So the thing I was slightly worried about was rook here. Rook comes back defending. Rook here pinning. Yeah, but that doesn't work anyway. Yeah, because then king here, you win. What happened? Okay. So lots of stuff has happened. So let's just go wind forwards. Oof. Let's wind forward. So what actually happened? I was slightly nervous about that point, but so instead he pushed. Check. Okay, so these three pawns are going to now slowly move their way up the board. Black, king and rook. Notice how white's doing a great job just keeping the king out. Sorry, I'm just spoiling it. So black's fighting with only one pawn against three. Now let's have a look. But this pawn is just running the rook behind the pawn, perfect position. The black king completely. I don't know how how did the black king get there? It's just got chased away. It went the wrong way basically, but maybe it got chased out. So that was a mistake. In this position, obviously, the black king should stay behind the pawns. But anyway, the black king gets chased away. I mean, really nice play from High on Potternews. He queens, and now it's rook and queen. He exchanges off, and this is going to be very simple. Check, and we have a resign. No, we don't. We have a game still going. So we're going to get the amusing thing of black's actually going to queen. It's like, oh, sorry, mate, almost. And congratulations, GG, to High on Potternews. Who's got mating 1. And he's taking his time, making sure. So yeah, well done to him. And just to quickly go to that point where so plus 2.2. This position, yeah, I'm nervous about this position. Check. King f4. The only move. Yeah. No, okay, sorry, I didn't realize this rook is hitting this pawn. I was thinking, oops, I was thinking this, but I just didn't realize he has all kinds of moves here. He's not simply just taking this pawn even. Gosh, okay, sorry, ignore that. Yeah, absolutely no chances given. I was in some kind of fantasy world where black attacks this and white decides to defend this and then go like this and this and like this, something like this. E5 check, only move. Maybe this. So this was a kind of, and even then, white has h3, defending his pawn. And what can black do here? What if black takes this pawn? Then his rook is trapped, is it? I think so. And if he takes this pawn, you can take back. Yeah. So anyway, I was. It's impossible not to win this ending. Yeah. Okay. And then so, just going back to the beginning. Yeah. So very well played from Ion Hypotenuse. I was wondering whether. Yeah, rook takes d3. I was wondering about rook takes d3, bishop f5. This was a sort of line I was also thinking of. So you'd have to swap queens anyway. Maybe yeah, you might pick up an extra pawn this way. That's all. No big deal. So rook takes d3 was just the thing I was thinking in that position. Apparently here he missed. Yeah, I was also saying maybe back off the bishop. I don't know if that's back off the bishop and then take that file. But what it's saying here, bishop h7 even, king g7, and then rook h d1. So don't lose your bishop. But yeah, really well played. Beating a higher rated player in an endgame, in a technical endgame. You're just 2 pawns up, just grinding it out. Even though some things like, swapping the knight for the bishop, undoubling the pawns don't seem ideal, it's just really well played. And then if black had got what he wanted with the trade of in this endgame, yeah, I imagine the 4 against 3 would have won, and I think Stockfish is agreeing it would eventually win. So. Okay, so that decides this match here, 4-4, between Idiots Till Proven Otherwise and Smother of Dragons. If we look at the standings, that means these guys are going to be up to 12 points. These guys are going to be up to 11 points. We, enough with the V2 Tarastalk, are going to be up to 11 points also. So if another team is on 11 points, we can't stop 2 guys on. Yeah, so the one team to really look out for is V2 Victorious. Also, just we're checking in on Luca Gallia. He was doing a great job earlier. We were watching his game against. We stopped around this point. Luca Gallia is white for the Lichess Lovers Rewind, board 8. And we saw he has 3 pieces for 1 piece, but an open kingside. And black is attacking like crazy. Notice this very calm. I'm not even going to take this pawn. I'm going to use your pawn as a shield, which is always an amusing technique. If it works, sometimes it's not a good idea. But and the one kind of the phenomenon is that a pawn of black can never take his own pawn. Is the philosophy behind it. So if you hide behind one of your enemy pieces, black can never take his own piece. So he can never sack to get in at you. So. But having said that, you have to be careful, because sometimes you could get rooks coming in and using that pawn and turning it into a queen. But okay, so we're just playing through. The pawn is dissolved. I mean, we have a nice tactic here. Check, discover check to win this rook, and black resigned. Okay, so just to show what's happened in that one, that will be... So where's the Lichess Lovers Rewind? So these were actually the winners of the league last season. Grigi Bojbor won, but Luca Gallia won for Lichess. So basically, Arsava also had to win to tie the round. Luca Gallia winning means Lichess Lovers win the round 5-3. So if we look at the standings, that means they go up to 10 points. So they're doing well. So congratulations to Luca Gallia. I'll close down that game. Now, a game which I was watching earlier that was Fudley for Erin's team, who was subbing in as an alt, and it was a kind of position where we heard that Grando, whose board one was Cristo, he'd misclicked, or his friend had misclicked. Instead of going knight takes pawn like he wanted, he'd gone queen takes, and that's rather unfortunate because of this pin. But there's a defense, but it's no good. And so we see how black is up a piece, and Fudley duly converted. Very beautiful. He's going to have rook here check, and rook here check, with a puzzle rush style mate, because the bishop covers c1. And basically there's no defense. So, really beautiful game from Fudley, although he was lucky with the mouse slip, as it were. Got really lucky with the queen take, as he says in the chat. So there we have it. But because of that, that means that Erin's team, so if we just load that up, the Knight King, they win 4.5, 2.5. Probably this last one will be drawn, so probably 5-3 between these two teams. So that leaves probably, I've been kind of delaying a lot, but that leaves the only two matches are on the most critical matches of all. So I'll just close that one down. Victorious. Oh, we've got a pawn endgame here, and it does not look good. So we last saw it here. So what did we think about this one so far? We thought Cos was playing quite nicely, although he potentially hung this pawn. So he made a couple of errors here with this move, Queen e7, h6, but he fixed the error, and now he's doing okay, we thought. He doubles up. Okay, so this pawn is looking... that rook is looking decidedly trapped. Oh my goodness. So the rook is looking decidedly trapped. So after rook takes pawn, my first reaction is, why not just take the rook? Because bishop takes bishop, check. But then it will be pinned, so you can just sidestep. So I'm not sure why he didn't just take the exchange, but instead he did this. And I think he was thinking, rook takes queen, knight takes queen, check, and then pick up the rook. Very nice tactics. So what does black do here? If he moves the queen, his own rook's going to die. So the queen went desperado. But this still holds. Oh, but this is check. Oops. Okay, this is still a check. He can't do this check because it's a discover check. Oh, wow. Okay. So he gets out the way. I think he has queen takes f4. Yes! So queen takes f4 actually opened up this discovery. Because the discovery wasn't there before. But simply the best move... Oh, I see. So even after bishop takes rook, also queen takes f4. Yeah, that's a problem. So... It feels like black was in all kinds of trouble and somehow kind of got lucky here. That the tactics worked out for him. So queen takes f4, it's a discovered check, he gets out of the way, he castles, his king is safe. There are no more nasty forks picking up his rook, so his king's out. And at the end of the day, isn't he a pawn up with the safer king? Attacks the rook, drops back, takes. Okay, but now I'm worried about black's. So black's got a back rank weakness, which is concerning. Just oof. So what I'm thinking, yeah, you can't just any check, just take it. Check, oof. So we got a bit of a spoiler that black ended up winning this game. Hang on, I think I pressed the down arrow accidentally. No, this is nice, but hang on a second. So what I noticed in this position, takes, is black has this check here, which white can't take back, because you take here, and yeah, there aren't background. You always have left for your king. So hits the knight. So yeah, because originally I was thinking, why not do a move like this? The idea being, if you take the knight, I take the rook. But the problem with a move like this, as I said, is just simply knight here, check, swap rooks, and get the knight out again. Something like that. So he does this instead, and there's a counter pin. The pins in this game. Hitting the rook. He had knight c5 after rook c4. So after rook c4, you reckon he has knight c5. Ah, that's true. That's true. Discover check. Isn't that's almost... Yeah, it's not mate, because knight and bishop both cover this square. So knight c5. But then the knight is pinned there, but okay, we can just leave it there. So knight c5, he could block with the knight, but that's a bad idea, because it feels like we could pile up. Bishop f8. So king f8 rather. King f8. We do have this check though. So and then he could go here. And so even if we back rank, he's still got this. So white still seems like a pawn down. But yeah, pawn down, castling by hand. Okay, so it was this position I was hoping for some kind of pin, but I was saying it wasn't working because of this. I think that's right. Yeah, I can't see. So he went back, he gets counter-pinned, then black attacks his rook again. Rook comes back. He's losing a second pawn, so now black has 2 pawns up. Check. Third pawn that goes down. It's rather unfortunate. And black is 3 pawns up. 31, knight d3 was the decisive error. Yeah. You had to go for knight e4 for sure. I mean, I'm not seeing, so like knight e4, I just go knight here, check. I'm finding it hard to visualize. Okay, if you went knight e4, I'd go knight here, check, and I'd be trying to take your knight. So you'd have to come in and defend your knight somehow. It's okay if we just open up. It's okay if we just open up this analysis board. I'm going to cheat here. Knight e4 is best move. Rusa, you're just so good. Knight e4 was best move. I was thinking crazy things like knight here check. King f3, because you want to hold on to your knight. Knight d4 check. King g2. Rook c2 check. Knight f2. Okay, I mean... But okay, what happened in the game was... Here, all kinds of counter... Well, all the pawns started falling. And so it just turns into a knight and pawn endgame, down 3 pawns, which is just too difficult. Yeah, knight and pawn endgame, down 3 pawns, turned into a pawn endgame, and these 2 pawns defend each other. If ever the king tries to take one, the other one runs. So it's a classic endgame. White going for stalemate tricks. I mean, why not just go... Surely here's the way to go for a stalemate trick, so if you go here, stalemate. And yeah, white resigned. Does this work better? King here. He does the same trick. Takes king here, and wins. So what was the decisive error? Apparently in this position, white was winning, and in fact we saw this. Just take the rook. Oh yeah, so it's actually not so simple. So we said just take the rook, and you said, but queen takes f4 check. So it's not so simple. And if king g2, apparently there's a repetition. Queen f3, king h2, queen f4. The queen can just shuffle up and down. So white's only move is king e2. So if queen h2 check, king e3, and the point is it's running to the queen side where the rooks can provide cover, and we're in exchange up. So hang on, why can't I just take this pawn? King to d2. In the meantime, I have issues with my own king. So apparently bishop takes b6, pawn takes b6. Okay, so how is black? Yeah, to take the free pawn. Okay, that defends this pawn. So what's the pawn count? 3 pawns against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. But we're a full rook up. How did... I thought it was an exchange. Oh yeah, because we didn't take back. Because we went for this... Because we went for this queen takes pawn counterattack, we didn't take back. Could we have taken back? Like bishop takes bishop? Yeah, but we can't really. So here we'd just be a piece down. Okay, so congrats to, as they say in the chat, congrats to CosXDX for a huge win. That leaves only 1 game left in the league. And yeah, that is a huge win, because that means Victorious are beaten. Whatever happens in this last match between Gokuba and Royilala, Victorious remain on 10 points. And that's great news, because it means that only Idiots Till Proven Otherwise will be on 12 points, and the rest of the teams behind them will be on 11 points. Mother of Dragons will be on 11 points. Enough with the V2 Tarash talk will be on 11 points. Check Please, how did they do this week again? Check Please lost this week to Lichess Lovers Rewind, so they don't gain any more points. So it's just 12 points, 11 points, and enough with the V2 Tarish Talk, 11 points. So probably the top clash next week will be Idiots Till Proven Otherwise against my own team, enough with the V2 Tarish Talk. We'll be a point, we're on 11 points, they're on 12, so we'll be a point behind them. But if we win that game, we'll basically be unstoppable. I mean, Smother of Dragons could still equal us if they win their game as well. So then, it's time to go. So we've seen this game. It's time to go to the final game. And we see here on the Lichess TV, go to lichess4545.com and click on TV. And you'll see the final game of round 7. And it's between, and we saw this earlier, we saw Gakuba playing some interesting chess with h5 and g5. Dubious but interesting, and maybe I'd say I felt the critical mistake was not taking and going h3. Takes, but this bishop is incredibly powerful on this long diagonal. This is what we were saying. It's joined by the queen. Queen is threatening to invade. It takes f2. Wow, so we're getting a really exciting game because we're going to get a huge attack on the queen side. Now, he can't take this yet because the knight is pinned. So he gets out of the pin. The threat is queen takes pawn, takes rook. Nasty. Check, he throws in a check. He defends this b7 pawn, makes sense. Queen comes back. So the white king is in a lot of space, so white feels, let's just try and trade down, and just, gosh, really low on time. Queen goes back. Black doesn't want to trade, okay. So if there was a trade, who's got the passed pawns? Neither side has passed pawns, so it's interesting. Queen going after this pawn. He just ignores it. Takes that pawn. The rook's defended by the knight. Oof. Black, Gakuba. He's even going to start pushing pawns. He had a lovely pawn structure here. This pawn is defended. His king had a little, like, I don't know, a tiny bit of safety. And he just threw it away. Takes that pawn. And this, to be honest, this looks curtains for black, because... But maybe this is just my feeling. Okay, Gakuba is going to defend this pawn. It's one weakness. And we see all white's pieces ganging up on this weakness, but queens will be traded. Oh, and we are up to the live action. This is the live position. And how many people are with us? We've got 16 people watching for the last game of round 7. Gakuba doesn't want to trade queens. Now let's see why he doesn't want to trade queens, just going back a move. If he does trade queens... Yeah, the problem is he doesn't have this move because his knight would fall. And so then that pawn is just not defended and all white's pieces are ganging up on it, and the rook, and there's no way of defending it. So this is a very beautiful move actually, knight to d4, because it cuts out two of the attackers attacking this pawn. So now it's just knight and bishop, with rook defending. Having said that, rook on its own can't defend this pawn, unless the king starts coming in. But it's a beautiful move though. And Royalala's under a minute, has to try and figure it out. That's an issue. Don't want to ever put your... Okay, so king steps back to safety. I feel like Royalala's plays a much more conservative game. He doesn't quite throw everything out there in the way that Gakuba does. And let's see the chat. David says, Kuba has chances now. Knight d4 check. Isn't it losing the knight? So I'm trying to work out, yeah, he's losing the knight. So you take the queen, you take this one, No, but there's an intermezzo check. Oof, oof. Tactics. Gokuba has not calculated his exchanges. If pawn takes knight, bishop takes knight, and indeed black would be a piece up and crushing. But Rolilala... So just to check, this match doesn't actually matter in the standings, in that, just to show you the team result, their team has, Gokuba's team has already gone down 2.5, 4.5. But still, it was an exciting game. And Gokuba had to try and win, and his teammate had to win in order for their team to, their team victorious indeed, to be victorious. Okay, but now Rolilala, 47 seconds left. He does have an intermezzo check. Knight takes pawn. Because it's check, either the king has to move, but if black just takes it, then rook takes, and the knight moves, and you're winning the bishop as well. So real trouble. So you can't really just sack it, because the rook, which is under attack, is just going to get taken. So he finds the intermezzo check. Now these things really have to be calculated, and it's really hard on low time, but you just have to calculate all exchanges. Now rook takes knight doesn't work. If you do something like king here, knight here check doesn't work because of bishop takes. Knight here check might be an issue. So there's so many things you have to check, because if knight here, you have to check knight here. You also have to check pawn takes knight, just simple move. So after pawn takes knight, rook takes knight, and black would be winning. So if white just simply takes the knight back, and black is winning. But white has another move worth checking, which is knight here check. Knight here check doesn't work because you take back and defend your rook. But knight here check, and what does black do? Again, think. Oh, he just played it instantly. But it was too fast for me. I just need to think a moment. He could have gone here as well, just to check the line, and then white has a choice. He's got a rook hanging and a knight he can take. So he'd probably take the rook, because rooks are more valuable, takes back, and then take the knight, and then the bishop takes this knight, so black is winning. So I think that was also winning. But he did it this way, takes, takes. But this way is not so clear. Hang on a second. But maybe it's only a draw. Okay. So king here. He played it instantly, bishop takes knight, but just king here, then what? What does white do? And the result ends in a draw. This went far too quickly for me to follow. So takes, takes, check, takes, takes. Oh, takes, takes, takes. And they just played the last few moves. What? Takes, 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 king here, king here. Well, even in this final position, I'm not sure who's winning. So this all went by far too quickly for me. So in this position, I'm wondering whether you can just step back. But okay, let's just go with what they did. Bishop takes knight, takes the rook. So now we have the knight survives with check. King goes here. Now, in this position, he could have just moved the knight again. That's dangerous, because this, but then knight takes pawn is with check. So, but you have to be careful, because any knight move... Yeah, why the draw? They agreed to draw. But what happened, in fact, was this, then this, this. Okay, so now this is the position. Now it's black to play. He brings his king in, brings the king in. Surely white is winning easily. Yeah, I'm struggling to see who's winning this. How can we see who's winning this? Okay. Like in this position, can't Black even just? Is that too slow? It doesn't feel too slow. I feel. Just open up the analysis board. Okay. So I just won't look at the engine for a bit, and then I will look at the engine. So if he just does this, and the end is going to go spiky as I make all kinds of mistakes. And then this. So it's a race, and it's a draw. Now, having said that, something clearly went wrong. Okay, so a move earlier, White could have just done this. Now, White has one sort of tempo-saving move, and Black has two. So if White does this, what does Black do? Just f6, and this, and a6. Now White can't go here, that's losers, for sure. Because Black comes in here, and this pawn definitely goes faster. But King c3, these two pawns actually take a move longer. So we have another race. Oof, I'm worried because, oops. But luckily for us, White's queening first. Phew. So this is a draw, but the end position in the game was winning for White. So the end position in the game, well, this is where they... Oh. They kept on playing, I see. I just assumed that was the final position, but you're right, there are a few more moves. A6 was played. G5. G5, very good move from White. King to C6, King to C4. So Black has... so White's kind of taken the opposition here. And he also has spare moves if he ever needs them. Very nice. So if it's this, he can go in. So he can't go that way, but if he does this, then White can go in. So whichever way, this is the critical position. Whichever way Black goes, yeah, Black is absolutely gone. Absolutely. I mean, I don't need the engine. He's got opposition. So that's true. But now going all the way back, I'm wondering about this position. No. So, I mean, the engine has got complaints about this move. It sees Queen G5 check, King F8, Queen H6 check, Bishop G7, Queen takes C6. Okay, so it had ideas, which we completely missed. But okay, now the slightly position that slightly bugs me is this. Yeah, this position. This position. Black instantly took the knight. And my instant reaction is, why not just do this? And the reason for that is, what does White do? If you take the knight, Black is just got two pieces against one. So obvious thing to do is to take the most valuable piece. You take the rook. Black takes the most valuable piece, which is this. Then White could take the knight, say, but Black takes this knight. So Black ends up a piece up. If Black tries to save his knight, Sorry, if white tries to save his knight, there's no check to save the knight with or anything. So already here, this is very interesting. So that's why rook takes rook doesn't work. And in fact, after this move, white's best move is simply to go back to knight to d5 check. So that's why I thought it was a draw, just because of this. So that was my assessment of the game. It's a draw because of this checks going up and down. So that's what I was thinking. Now, of course, now let's see, you say move 37, a6. So instead, he went for this. a6. Yeah. Now, why is a6 such a bad mistake? Yeah, because it's like the number of moves white has. By playing a6, interesting, he allows g5. Now, if he plays f6, it stops g5, and you can't do the similar thing here because black just comes in and takes it. Whereas, after a6, g4 like this, the number of moves needed to come and take this is just too many. So yeah, a6 is the losing move. If I just turn on the table base, is it too many? Yes, g5, the one winning move. And like, kudos to the player. Rolilala, he found g5. King to c6, he found the opposition. No, king c4. He played king c4, but then agreed to draw. But who actually offered the draw? White offers draw. Wow. So he took the opposition and then he offered the draw. Because of Zugzwang. Indeed, in fact, when I first saw this position, even without the engine, I said here, black's got 2 moves and white's only got 1. f6, b3, here. So because he's got 2 moves, he gets the opposition. But the thing is, because these pawns are doubled, if you just take the opposition, it's a draw. Now hang on, is that right? Yeah, but the problem is this one is a draw, just when you just follow through the races. I just did that earlier on the stream. And this one is also a draw, just because it takes a lot longer to chase round. Yeah. And Manlikanli Roshan says you can even play king e5 instead of f6, because when he queens, the f pawn is too strong compared to the king. King e. So this one, this one, this one, this one. Yeah, okay, king e5 was the move I wanted to do. So you're saying you can even go king c6 as well. White gets opposition here. King d6, king b6. Very important here to go this way. If you go here, this one's a quick one. This one's a quick one to capture. Only 3 moves. Very important to go here, because that's just going to take too long. So you give him the option, yeah, you can go and chase this one. This one's quicker. Only 2 moves. Oh, king e5 instead of f6. Okay, yeah. I didn't... Yeah. King e5 instead of f6. Okay, king e5. Yeah, we did this on the stream. We did this... We actually did this earlier on the stream. We counted how long it would take to do this, and 2, 3, 4. And yeah, we followed through the line. We just played it through, and they just queen at the same time. So that's it, guys. The standings will be updated tomorrow. No problem. Thanks for tuning in. Just so if you guys are interested in the Lichess4545 League, it'll probably be on a summer break, but do check it out. Do join the Lichess4545 team on Lichess. Maybe yeah, so maybe try and join the Lone Wolf, because a Lone Wolf season might just be starting up again. So if you're really interested in joining, maybe join the Lone Wolf. Maybe don't participate, but try and get in, and then when 4545 starts again after the summer, maybe there'll be a 1 month or so summer break. You'll be in the group, and so you'll hear all the news. The current season hasn't yet finished. There's just one round left. The round 7 will be updated tomorrow, and as I said, Idiots Till Proven Otherwise will be outright leaders, with Smother of Dragons and Nuff with the V2 Tarash Talk in equal second place. It'll be a very exciting last week to see who can win. Idiots Till Proven Otherwise is led by International Master Lovelass, who's on a score of 6.5 out of 7. So someone managed to draw against him. In a previous season, he actually scored 7 out of 7 one season. So that's it. So we saw they were held to a draw by Smother of Dragons this week. Enough with V2 Tarish Talk, which is my team. I'm their board 2. We had a smashing week, and Victorious, very fortunately for us, because if Victorious won this week and next week, they couldn't be caught by us. They were taken down this week by We Will Rook You. And Check Please were also taken down by Lichess Lovers Rewind. There's still a few games left happening, but I'll be calling an end to the current stream. If you go to the Lichess TV, it's on lichess4545.com. No games are currently being played. If you're interested in my other videos, I do have other standard videos about Lichess4545, review of games, usually after the event, not live, like today. That's the link to my YouTube. But what you'll find mostly there are Crazy House videos. And that's what I do mostly. I post Crazy House and Bug House videos, and lots of instructive content on Bug House. If you're ever interested in learning Crazy House, there's a blog about an introduction to getting better at Crazy House, but you can find lots of other stuff, lots of puzzles, videos and stuff on that blog. And on my YouTube you can find a wealth of other stuff if you look under the playlists, both my own content and that of other Crazy House streamers. And you can also find a playlist of standard chess content. So you might like my Geometry of Chess video, for example, which has been very popular on Lichess, the study from which it was made. So thanks everyone for watching. I should actually, before we go, just quickly look at the anyone can tell you this is a terrible mistake. He weakens everything around his king. He's just blowing open the center where his king was on. So we saw that during the game, that this can't be good. But how to punish it? So let's just show the line which does punish it. Queen g5 check. Now, if you go onto the rook file, if you go into either of these two squares, rook takes d5 is coming with check, so that's no good. If you step back, maybe you can survive. Notice how this bishop is a hero for white, because it protects everything. But if you step to f8, which Stockfish actually says is the best move, notice how you've got this check picking up the knight. That's quite nasty. But if you step this way, we have this file opening up, and the threat is... What's the threat? We could crash through here and then take this one, I guess. So that's a threat. It's a pretty serious threat. Suppose I just back off. Like, what's actually the threat? I'm trying to imagine what's the mating net here. Just before we go, how to construct a mating net in this position for white. Because Gokuba, yeah, I think he... I think he was lucky to get a draw here, but let's see. So black is clearly in trouble, but I think this is actually something I find difficult in my own games, is I get into positions which are wonderful, and then I just can't see how to finish them off. So we don't want to move this bishop, I feel. This bishop is doing a great job defending everything. We can't move the knight because it's pinned. So the problem we have is we only have two pieces to deliver. Okay. The rook is doing a great job cutting off the king. If the king ever moves, we have this check as we saw. So why not... Queen f6? Okay, Rusai says queen f6. So the idea of queen f6 is we're hitting the knight. So knight d8 seems almost forced. I can't see any other. Knight d7 was also possible, but we just go queen land. It's just game over. Now what? Our pieces are a little bit tied up. So we've got a check, but he just steps up. We have a check here, but no, the queen covers. And we don't have this square to check. So it's not so simple. And this square's not taken. Okay. So what next? How to... What about just dropping the rook back a bit? Does that work? The idea being I just want to do this. So suppose he does this. Yeah, okay, so that doesn't work at all because then we have this check here and it's checkmate. Here check. There, and rook here, checkmate. So, rook h5 you're suggesting. Rook h5, okay, rook h5. So the threat is simply hit him on the back rank, he's forcing him to here, and then bishop here check, forcing him to here, and queen here checkmate because the rook, yeah, that seems to do the trick. Okay, that seems to be it. I can't see any defense. So just to see what the computer line says, it says if he does this, bishop c6 check, takes, king here, coming on the back rank. Oh, just everything's falling. Okay, and my original idea was actually to go with the rook first. King to d7. Oh, yeah, I can't go here. The knight protects this square. That was my original idea. So I'd have to go rook takes, bishop c6, check, king to c7. Queen takes f2 is risky because we're losing our bishop, our valuable... Oh, what? Well, sorry, we're taking this queen. Sorry, what am I talking about? Okay, discovered check. That's what it is. Oh. Okay, so that's why queen f3 is such a beautiful move, because we're going to do a discovered check. That's the way to win this game, guys. Discovered check on the king. Move the rook anywhere, in fact, but rook h5 is wonderful. And the threat is a discovered check, winning the queen. Awesome. And if the queen tries to get out of the way, then we have what we just said. Rook f8, king d7, c6. If you take, bishop takes is checkmate. So king back to c8, queen f5 checkmate. You can't have this because it's pinned. So that's a nice way to finish. Nice little puzzle of how to construct a mating net. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. I mean, it's crushing, but finding the precise way of finishing it off. Queen f3, either rook h5 or some rook move. The multiple threats and the discovery attack, picking up the queen. That's the kind of thing I feel I need to improve a lot in my own game, and I think a lot of other people recognise that as well. The finding that critical move, creating the mating net. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. Hope it's been fun. Bye.